because it helps them, well, cut the Bible, you understand, into kind of pieces, like what's convenient for them and what's inconvenient for them. But I really try to listen to these points and to these arguments. And sometimes it's because of the translations. Sometimes it's because of the King James translation of the Bible, which are very curious at best. For example, the part where a lot of people talk about long hair. I did another teaching on this, but I want to do something short on the issue of long hair, because some people say the long hair is a shame, for a man, because doesn't it say that in the Bible right there, that if a man have long hair, it's a shame to him. And it's interesting because in this case they will go to Paul, but in other cases they'll say something else, so they'll pick and choose. But let's go to 1 Corinthians 11:4. And here's what's interesting about this, because it asks a question. But if you listen to most people in this long hair controversy, that's a shame. Those people who say that, is it a shame to have long hair? They don't even ask the question anymore. They declare it as not a question mark at the end of the sentence, but it's an exclamation point. But 1 Corinthians 11:4, when it's speaking about long hair and speaking about covering, Paul is making both the obvious point, you understand, as this particular verse that we're going to touches on right here, as well as he's making a spiritual point. When you talk about the covering, you understand, he's speaking about the order in God's house. The order, you understand, even among the male and the female, according to the scriptures. But what some people have derived from it, as though this is some barber, this promotes the barber shop. I'm not saying that the barber, if people want to get a haircut, hey, they're free to get a haircut, but they think that this is a barber shop kind of thing. This is the point about that men should have short hair, and if a man has long hair, it's a shame. We've been rebuked and repudiated and insulted about this matter, being Rastafari and being Nazirawian. We've been, reproached on this particular verse right here. But let's touch on it and let's look at the verse, all right? 1 Corinthians 11:14 states, doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame to him? Now it's a question mark right there. But notice how this verse was translated, because it's a question. It's obviously a question. It does not read, doth not even nature itself teach you, if a man have long hair, is it a shame to him? They don't say, is it a shame to him? Instead, they twist it as though it's a direct statement. They're saying it is a shame to him. Now let's stop for a moment. What is Hawadia Paulos Paul speaking about here? He says, doth not even nature teach you? There's a couple of things. The first thing is that most people, when they go and quote this from the Bible to say that long hair is a shame, they will state it as though it is an exclamation point type of sentence. It's a declaration, instead of the fact that it is a question. That's the first thing you need to know. Then you need to note how it's translated, where it says it is a shame to him. Instead of, if it's a question, it should be, is it a shame to him? How you ask the question? It is a shame to him. That doesn't sound like a question. Is it a shame to him? Because what is nature? What is he speaking about nature? Nature is talking about the creation. You understand, the creation. In other words, look at the creation. You understand? Because man is the glory of all of God's works. You understand? Therefore, the epitome of the glory, you understand, above and beyond his creation. That's why man should not bow down to the animals, you understand, or make them his gods or whatever like that. You understand? He should be that example, because he was created in the image and after the likeness of God before the fall of man. Doth not even nature itself teach you? Doesn't the creation teach you this? That if a man, now here's the third point. The third point about this one sentence, it says, if a man, if you study in the Koine, the Septuagint, the Greek, you understand, the Greek is more classical, the Septuagint is more classical Greek. The Koine is more the original kind of Greek that they spoke at that time. There's like 5 different levels of Greek, you understand, in the evolution of that particular language. Very interesting study right there. But here it says, if a man, right? The right translation would be, and we know this also by comparison with the Met Kedus of His Imperial Majesty, or the the authorized 1961 Amharic Bible, it should be if a male have long hair, it is a shame to him. Is it a shame to him if a male has long hair? That's how the question really is in the Greek and in the Royal Amharic. If a man have long hair, is it a shame to him? If a male have long hair, is it a shame to him? Now, look at the picture that we chose to put in this particular vlog, you understand? Or if you're hearing this the audio way, just think about this for a moment. Think about the fact that, let's look at the male and the female in creation. Which particular animal should we look at? Which particular nature should we look at? Which particular creature should we look at? Order. Let's look at the lion. Why not the lion? Because he's the lion of the tribe of Judah, right? The lion. Christ is the lion of the tribe of Judah. We know he's not a physical lion, but he uses that mishle, or that metaphorical, parabolic, logical language to describe something. Just like the leaven that he told the disciples about, beware of the leaven. But they misinterpreted, just like people have misinterpreted this and continue to do so. Perhaps this may help some to really study and show themselves approved. Here you see the male, you understand, lion that has the mane. And there you see the female, the lioness, called the lioness. So you see the Anbessa and the Anbessa Situ side by side of each other. So you see the male and the female. Do you notice anything about the male and female? You notice who has the long hair? Okay, the male has the long hair. The lion, the Anbessa, the Arya. Is that a shame for the male lion being king of the beasts? He is king of the beasts. This is why Yehoshua is also called the Lion of Judah. He is a Lion of Judah. That's why Kedamawa Haile Selassie is the Lion of Judah. You understand? That old lion. So you have the female lion, the old lion, and the cub. You understand? So the male lion has long hair. Is that a shame? Is that a shame to the male lion? No, it's not. No, it's not. You see, it's a question that Hawadia Paulos is asking, because he's reasoning with them. You remember this epistle, he's speaking to people that he knows. You know what I'm saying? He's speaking to people as though he's amongst them. Just like I'm speaking here like if we were talking one with another. You understand? But then when it says in verse 15, but if a woman, a female, have long hair, it is a glory to her. Now, what's he talking about? He's speaking about, remember, doth not even nature. Nature is creation. Now if a female now have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. You see why a lot of this can kind of go over people's heads and everything, is because they're not around creatures and nature. They're not around people in the city, concrete jungle. They don't know what creatures and animals do. They don't probably watch Animal Channel. If you watch Animal Channel, you understand when they talk about the male and the female, and you start to notice these things the Bible is saying, you begin to recognize, wow, people in the Bible really knew these creatures because they had time to actually be around these creatures. They wasn't watching TV and on the internet all day or whatever like that. But even if they were on the internet, they were into what was really necessary for them to know, the real things about God's creation. That's why it says in verse 16, but if any man seem contentious, if you want to argue this, you understand, we have no such custom, neither the churches of Elohim. It's very important for you to understand what this message is. This is just one example that we cite to you of where the scriptures have been twisted. You understand, by those who are unlearned and unstable. You understand?